All right, hello and welcome to another episode of ZenChats. Today I'm thrilled to have on Duncan and Griffin, the two co-founders of Nifty Gateway. So for those of you who don't know, Nifty Gateway is an NFT marketplace, it's kind of fundamentally different from any other marketplace because it is custodial. And like we're going to get into all of that, I think, later on. But before we do, just welcome, gentlemen. Welcome. How are you both?
Great. Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, doing great. Thank you for having us here.
No, thanks for being here. So on your website, I saw it says Nifty Gateway was founded with a simple mission to make NFTs more accessible to everyone. Can you sort of take me and the listeners through the journey of like when you had the idea for Nifty Gateway and how you plan to make it accessible and like when that happened and just your origin stories as it is?
Definitely. We got into NFTs in 2018. And back then it was a much smaller community than it is today. I mean, I think if I had to, it was probably like 1/100th of the size at best. And so, but honestly, a lot of the dynamics were pretty similar where there was this constant refrain of, oh my God, it's so hard to onboard people into NFTs. It's so hard to explain what we're doing. And so we basically just had a lot of conviction around the space. The heuristic that we used was, there weren't that many people who knew about NFTs, but among the people who knew about them, the average level of excitement and commitment was extremely high. Even if it wasn't a large number of people, the people were just so passionate about it, and like 24/7, all they would do is NFTs. And for us, we thought that was a great sign. We thought that, we were basically looking for technologies that were small and going to grow big, and NFTs sort of checked all the boxes, if you will. And yeah, what we basically decided that we wanted to start a company that was fundamentally built around accessibility because it was still such a new technology. I mean, it's still really hard for people to use MetaMask wallets and cryptocurrency. It's still really difficult for people to understand that. So we thought that, starting a company that made it easier to get people into NFTs would be a great way to push the space forward. And I think that absolutely turned out to be true.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So that was 2018. You had the idea for a marketplace that was that people could buy NFTs with a credit card. Is that the basic idea?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then pretty quickly, almost like 7 months after we launched the company publicly, Gemini and the Winklevoss twins got interested. They were kind of ahead of the curve on NFTs. So they had pretty high conviction about the NFT space being big in the future too. And so they made the offer to acquire us, which we accepted, and has been a great deal ever since, and really enabled us to do a lot of things that we wouldn't have been able to do otherwise.
Yeah, I mean that's incredible. Just like idea, and then 7 months later you launch and you're just acquired by Gemini. Yeah.
It was crazy. And yeah, we were like right out of college and 24 years old. And also NFTs were not a big thing back then, right? Like,
yeah,
the tech market moves in these cycles where stuff gets hot and then stuff gets like not hot. And NFTs had definitely been hot and then we're like not hot. Like CryptoKitties exploded.
CryptoKitties, yeah,
exactly. It was like a preview of what's to come. Like CryptoKitties exploded and then they just like died out. And like, I don't know. I think for the whole NFT space, actually, it was pretty exciting to see a crypto exchange like Gemini acquiring an NFT company. It made people like look up and say, maybe NFTs like are for real. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I remember back in the CryptoKitty days. So I got into crypto a little bit back then, and then I left again when the bear market hit. And I had a friend that bought a CryptoKitty, and I can't remember what he spent. It was like an ETH or half an ETH. But then for like the next 4 years, we just make fun of him for wasting money on this cat JPEG. And yeah, it was really fun. And then obviously we couldn't really see the power of NFTs the way that maybe you could and other people could. But it was wild back then.
Sounds like all of our like friends. They were also making fun of us for like starting it out.
I mean, it's too bad that CryptoKitties never like mooned and became valuable, because then he would have had the last laugh, right?
I know. Maybe if he had a founder one, but he just has one of the like 1 million there are now. It's just too many.
Yeah, there's
crypto rabbits. That's what they should be called.
Yeah. Basically. Okay, so 2018, you launched. What was like from then till like end of 2020 like before NFT, like NFTs went crazy in 2021, basically. But like, what was that period like? I mean, you couldn't have had that many customers, and just, I don't know.
So
I just love to know, what it was like.
Yeah. Okay. So our path was, we first launched as just a credit card portal for buying NFTs, and you paid with a credit card, and then it got sent to an Ethereum wallet that you had. And that was kind of the early V1 of the product, and that's what we were before we got acquired. But after we got acquired, like, we took a hard look at the NFT space, and we tried to ask what does the space really need to explode? Like, what does it need to go mainstream? And we realized that just a credit card on-ramp was only half of the equation. The other half is like, people need to figure out how to set up a wallet and manage a wallet and deal with all of that complexity. And it's really tough. And, having been acquired by a crypto exchange, exchanges like Gemini made it really easy for people to buy crypto by having a custody option where they just custody your crypto for you. And, even now when I talk to some people who aren't super deep into crypto, they don't really get the difference between custodial and non-custodial. But we just sat down and said, what if we built a custodial option for NFTs, where when you bought an NFT, we have the custody for you and make it insanely easy to get started. All you need to do is sign up with an email and password and buy with a credit card, and you could just get started right away. So after we got acquired, we kind of went heads down building that as a part of Gemini. And the other thing that we did was the drops. So we went out and we partnered with artists who, already had large followings or had a body of work, and we helped them really craft special drops of NFTs, and we made a really big event out of it. And then we launched March 2020 with kind of the current marketplace that we launched with then. It was like the week that all the pandemic started, actually, like the week that everybody locked down. Yeah, we'd been building this product for like 7 months, and then all of a sudden we're forced to go remote and the pandemic hits. But all through 2020, I mean, Nifty Gateway actually saw steady month-over-month growth, right? Like our first month, we only had $30,000 in sales. So pretty small, but we managed to I think we averaged a monthly growth rate of 60% every month for all of 2020. Wow. And it kind of just kept steadily building up. And then, we launched with Trevor Jones's Bitcoin Bull was a really big drop that got a lot of attention. And then Beeple launched all of his first drops on Nifty Gateway, and still most of his content has been launched on Nifty Gateway. And that was the one I think that really just got everyone's attention and blew up the space. And then he did the sale at Christie's for 69 million. And I feel like that's when he's went completely fucking parabolic. And
yeah, it was just a wild time back then. I think honestly, the Nifty Gateway it might have been the first platform I ever heard about NFTs about, because I think it was Nifty Gateway, at least. I was like reading the Dota 2 video game subreddit, and I think OG, one of the teams, had a drop, and it was like these rings, and I was like, that's cool, but I don't get it. Like, why these hundreds of dollars? I wish I could go back and get some, and they're just cool now. Now I get it. I'm like, hey, that was really cool. But
dude, yeah. I remember that drop. I have those rings. I have like 6 of them, and we worked with their CEO, like JMR Luna. He's great. That was a really fun drop. It was a lot of fun working with them on that.
But honestly, a lot of people didn't really get it then too. Like, even among them, it was still a weird idea to do NFTs. It's much less so weird now. But for them, it was like their CEO was like, no, we're doing this new thing because I think it's going to work. And everyone else was sort of like, all right, sure. Not really. It's like a digital image, but anyone can download it. Yeah.
Everyone, like, I remember just in the community, people were like, why? This is so cash grabby. This is weird. This is scammy. And again, it was ahead of their time, I think, a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, we did a ton of that. Because that was kind of the hustle and the effort that you had to put in, was just like getting on calls with people, explaining to them what an NFT was, and convincing them to experiment with the medium and create their first NFTs. It was really sort of like there's a concept in tech of crossing the chasm, which more or less equates to like before like mainstream adoption and like after mainstream adoption. It's more nuanced than that, but our thinking was basically like, if we can get enough good creators to create NFTs to show the potential of like what this medium could really be, then eventually everyone will wake up to the potential. And that's honestly exactly what happened. And it happened way faster than we thought. It just, I mean, the Beeple Christie's sale was really like what made everything go absolutely nuts.
Yeah. It just went mainstream. It was on Saturday Night Live, and then everyone was talking about it, and
Yeah.
it seems like it hasn't really stopped since then. It's just like we've had like waves, but it's just
Yeah.
it's not a fad anymore.
It hasn't really stopped. What's so interesting about NFTs is like I even noticed that when we're starting, when you first tell people about the concept, they're so just like shocked that it makes them ask a lot of questions. They're like very curious. Like in that sense, it's very viral because everybody's just so confused at first. And then like it really like intrigues them and makes them get into it. And they probably have to hear about it 4 or 5 times before they really get into it. But like once they do, I don't know. I've seen so many friends go from just being completely skeptical and like not getting it at all to then spending like tens of thousands of dollars on NFT. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's most people's first experience, and then they're curious, and then they have 1,000 questions because it's so difficult to like, how do you start? What is MetaMask? What is gas? What is these marketplaces? And I guess that's where Nifty Gateway helps like ease that onboarding process.
Dude, there are so many collectors who tell us they've bought their first ever NFT on Nifty Gateway, right? Like when we go to DNYC, or I think it just brought so many people into the space, and it's so easy to get started with. Like,
yeah.
With
the custodial nature, when you first launched, was there always an ability for someone to say withdraw their NFTs to MetaMask, a MetaMask wallet on the Ethereum network, or did that get built in later?
No, we launched with withdrawal. I mean, it was really modeled. We were owned by Gemini, and it was really modeled after that. That was basically our logic. Like Gemini and Coinbase have been so effective at onboarding people into crypto with this custodial option. But of course, I mean, withdrawal was always we always figured without a withdrawal, I mean, it's like, then you're just trading
it's not an NFT, but
it's not an NFT. And there actually were a lot of, I mean, there were a fair few startups who were like, we're making NFTs. You download this app and you purchase this in-game digital good, and then you can see it. And I'm like, so can you send it to a wallet?
There still is that, yeah.
Yeah, there still is that. And I'm like, is this really an NFT? It doesn't really feel like one. But yeah.
It's always about just bringing people on, but like you have to give them the option to withdraw and self-custody it. Otherwise, it totally would have defeated the point, I think.
So now you've sort of come full circle. I mean, you've launched, or you are in the process of launching what's called Wallet2Wallet, which it gives users the option to have self-custody from like through the entire process. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Right.
So, when did you have this idea? When did you go from, being fully custodial that people can withdraw to saying, hey, maybe we want to give people the option to buy and sell directly from MetaMask?
Well, we always thought of, I mean, for us, it was always about an onboarding tool. We always thought it was, like it was a good way to get people into NFTs, the custodial solution. And then I think basically what we saw is people onboarded, and it's really nice to have that simple step. But then with your own wallet, with a MetaMask, there's so much more you can access. Like you can't rebuild everything that you can do with a non-custodial wallet on a custodial system. It's just impossible. It's kind of like you saw this in the early days of the internet a lot, where people sort of built these like tools that were web enabled, and then eventually everyone just moved to a web browser, which was like a much more powerful kind of like, I kind of think that's a similar analogy here. And we basically just didn't want to be on the wrong side of history, right? Like I think pretty consistently what we've seen, people get into the NFT space, they learn, a custody solution is a great way for them to get started. They learn about it, but then as they learn more, they open their own wallet, they figure it out, they buy ETH on Gemini. And so we think it's incredibly important to support both. And I'm really excited about the fact that Nifty Gateway will be a platform that natively supports both. I think what we've seen is having, there's still a really small number of active users in Web3, even if the transaction volumes are very high. So having a platform where someone can sign up and get started really easily if they know nothing about NFTs, but then we can also hold their hand and help them transition to like a fully Web3 native world. I think having those two things together is going to be a really, really powerful tool to unlock adoption even further.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree 1,000%. I think the biggest, one of the biggest hurdles for adoption is just the technological difficulty of getting started and understanding it all, and smoothing that onboarding process is going to be huge. It's just going to be huge. So I want to actually maybe take a step back a bit. When you were first launching the custodial option, was there ever any sort of backlash from the crypto community saying, hey, that's not actually crypto, not your wallet, not your keys type thing? Sorry, not your keys, not your
NFTs.
Not your NFTs, yeah. Not your crypto. Yeah, did you face any of that, or were people like pretty happy that because Coinbase and Gemini and stuff were already around as a thing that people accepted?
No, I mean there's tons of backlash.
Yeah, it was definitely mixed, right? Like some people really loved it and they loved how many people it would bring onto the space. And then like some people, yes, like had very strong ideological feelings and, just thought that every Web3 experience should be purely Web3, right? And shouldn't involve any sort of custodial option. And I definitely see both perspectives. I feel like our approach has always just been to build more what people want though. Like we're just trying to build great products that people really find useful, and building easy on-ramps and solutions that help people get started really benefits everybody in the Web3 ecosystem. Like I saw this, I read this great quote in a book about crypto I was reading. It's like, crypto is full of these maximalists who like don't even think that centralized exchanges should exist. But like if it wasn't for those centralized exchanges, probably most of the people who are in crypto would never have been able to get started. Like most people are not going to like mine their own Bitcoin or buy it on a street corner or something. So I don't know. It's like I see both perspectives, but we're just trying to build stuff that's useful. But yeah, there was definitely a backlash.
Yeah, and I mean with credit cards and accepting fiat currency, you're literally converting fiat currency directly into NFTs. It's like every time someone makes an NFT purchase with fiat, like the total amount of fiat goes down and the total like value of NFT goes up, which I think that's a good trade. Like that's good for the NFT space.
Yeah. No, I mean I agree. I think it's you can't just get from where we are to fully Web3. Like there has to be this massive transition process. It takes years and years and years. And even so, like now, most of the people in the space are more like tech minded, finance, and a bit more savvy than sort of the average retail investor. To get like billions of people in, it's going to take a long process and hand holding, and what people are used to. Forget the forget password button is something that a lot of people are going to want. Yeah.
Totally. And we really see that reflected in the data too, where there are people who like, especially, people who are not as tech savvy. Like I think people forget like how much some people struggle still just to use the internet. And like my mom is a great example where, I don't know, I feel she asks me some tech questions all the time, which like she doesn't really have a great understanding, but she has like 30 NFTs on Nifty Gateway. I think she's very intimidated by setting up a wallet. I keep meaning to like help her do it. But I think she just, and there's honestly a fair number of collectors like that on Nifty Gateway. So it's it really does, it really expands the universe of people who can access NFTs, which is a great thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, I fully agree. Now with the wallet-to-wallet implementation, so you're sort of moving to this hybrid marketplace where people can have a custodial, have their assets stored custodially, or have full ownership of them. Yeah, is that like fully launched yet, or is that coming out in the next several weeks? What's that development like?
It's launching in multiple phases. So we're doing a big promotion around the launch called Wallet-to-Wallet Madness, and there's 2 phases of that. So last week it went live where you could list your NFTs straight from your MetaMask. So if you go to niftygateway.com, you can connect your MetaMask and list NFTs for sale right away. And then on Thursday, in 2 days, buying is going live and the launch will be completed. But really what we're excited about with this project is, we've been working on this for almost a year. It's not just like we took the architecture that exists out there for other marketplaces and kind of rebuilt it. With this one, we said like we really wanted to build something special, and we really wanted to build the next generation NFT marketplace. And we kind of dug deep into how a lot of the tech works. And we built something I'm really proud of that has a lot of really cool features that I think people will come to appreciate over the next 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, you say like you figured out a way to make gas like a lot more efficient and cheaper for people to like list, buy, sell. Is that just you know, when, let's say OpenSea, comparing to OpenSea, when they developed their contracts and stuff, it was a while ago, and you've just been able to do things. People, just the tech has gotten more advanced. Is that like, yeah, what you've done?
I would say it's mostly what we've been able to do over the years is really see what works and what hasn't, like, and the way that the system is developed, and then we were able to sort of go back to it and think about it from first principles. So I can provide a quick, people always ask about this, but I can sort of break down from a tech perspective why exactly the gas fees are cheaper.
70% cheaper.
Yeah, 70% cheaper, sometimes even closer to 80 or 90% in some cases. But essentially, there are 3 steps that have to happen when an NFT is purchased. The 3 steps are order creation, order validation, and order settlement. An order is just a term, a marketplace term that means like a piece of information that says I want to buy or sell something. So if you list something for sale, you create a sell order, which basically says I want to sell this NFT for this amount of money. With the existing marketplace paradigms, orders are created and stored off chain. So if you list something for sale on OpenSea, the order is stored in their database. But then if you want to buy something, the order is validated on chain, and validation means checking to make sure that the payment is correct, that the NFT is owned by the person who's selling it. Like, it's the checking stage, and then the order is settled on chain. So, you know, the money is moved, the NFT is moved, and the sale is recorded. And essentially, our thesis is that because orders aren't stored on chain, it doesn't really make sense to validate them on chain as well. There's no really additional benefit to doing that, and there's pretty high costs in the form of, like, you know, users have to pay high gas costs to do that order validation on chain. And so we essentially took that second step and we moved it off chain along with the first step. And so now only the third step, the order settlement, happens on chain, and the other 2 steps happen off chain. And actually, I think, you know, OpenSea, when they first launched, orders were stored on chain, and there are some marketplaces that store orders on chain, but everyone had to move to storing orders off chain because it was just cost prohibitive. If orders were stored on chain, you would have to pay gas every time you list something for sale, which is very cost prohibitive.
Yeah.
But when they did that, they didn't fundamentally alter their marketplace structure. You know, they didn't fundamentally alter their exchange contracts. So they're sort of, in some ways, like, they're kind of dealing with a legacy system where at first, like, all 3 steps were on chain, which, you know, there's a strong justification for why that should happen. But then they moved one off chain, and they were sort of stuck with these other 2. And we took a look at it, and we were like, well, this doesn't really make sense. Thought about it from first principles. Why don't we move the second step off chain as well? And of course, there are implementation complexities. There's a lot of details to figure out. But that's essentially the core technical reason why the gas costs are much lower. And then it also, you know, what we learned is that this also enables a lot of other really cool features that are not possible. Like, for example, you know, none of this is going live yet. These are all future features that we're going to develop, but we're going to have something called free shipping, where if you list an item for sale, you can say, I'll pay the gas fee on behalf of the buyer. So the buyer effectively pays.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's like what people are used to, right?
Yeah.
We're going to have global offers by trait. So you can say, I want to buy a Post-it note doodle face, and here's 10 ETH, which is like, you know, that we think that'll help increase liquidity for traits. You know, and then I think honestly the coolest one and sort of the biggest picture is we'll eventually be able to have orders that incorporate actions on multiple different blockchains. So you could list an Ethereum NFT for 10 Solana and say, I'll only take a native Solana payment for this Ethereum NFT. Once the Solana payment is received, then the order settles on Ethereum, which I think will be really cool because the world is going more and more multi-chain. Ethereum is still the most liquid cryptocurrency to trade NFTs in by far. If you could trade Solana NFTs in native Ethereum, I think it would unlock a lot of utility and power.
That would be huge, just huge. Yeah.
And that's the bigger picture of what we're building. And that's why we like to describe it as a next gen marketplace, because I mean, we've been around a long time. We've seen all these different implementations. And so when we really studied this issue for a long time and basically came to the conclusion that other marketplaces had developed this way, not because it made the most sense, but essentially because of legacy decisions that they made a long time ago that they couldn't really undo. And so we thought that this is just a more logical structure. And I guess we'll see if we're right.
Yeah, Nifty Gateway, you know, I mean, our custodial option has helped on board. We actually have over 1 million registered user accounts. So like it's helped on board a lot of people. We've done incredible drops with like some really remarkable artists. You know, we've had, I think, over $700 million in lifetime sales. But, you know, with this, I think it's our most ambitious project yet to really build this next generation on-chain marketplace. And we're just super excited to see what the reaction is. And I don't know, I think a lot of people will just be stunned when they see these features because, you know, especially if you're new, you kind of assume that things have to be the way they are. Like you assume you have to pay gas to cancel a listing and you get used to it. And you assume there's no possible way to pass gas fees onto the seller and like do the free shipping thing. And you assume you have to pay like, you know, gas at levels that they are. But yeah, with all these new features, I think people are really going to be blown away. So it's exciting.
I love it. It sounds, it's just innovative. It's like you're just doing new things, pushing the needle for it. It sounds incredible.
Yeah, and actually, I don't know. Yeah, it makes me think. I came up with this today. I kind of feel like we're still early in NFTs. We might just still be early. I don't know.
I think we are.
No, people always say that as a meme, but yeah, it's a new technology and it's constantly changing, and it's changed so much. We've worked in it like 3.5 years, and it's insane how much the tech has changed in that time period, and just how much innovation there's been.
Yeah,
probably just going to continue.
I think so. It seems like every month, every couple of months, there's this just new thing that's like making waves. And like if you go back 6 months ago, the cost to mint an NFT, just because everyone is using the standard ERC 721 and using the enumerable and all that, and it's like now someone's like, hey, maybe we don't need that for our NFT, and then get like I minted an NFT for $1.80 the other day on Ethereum mainnet. I was just like, what?
Yeah, wow. It's so funny. Like when we first launched Nifty Gateway, gas fees were so low. We like didn't think about minting costs, and we were doing that. But we've also innovated a lot on the minting for our drops. Like we just had a drop the other day where we minted 2,200 NFTs for $140, I think. Mainnet, like ERC.
So crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of innovation that is happening there.
What do you think about like these marketplace aggregators, Gem and Genie, and like, I mean, a lot of people are transacting via them rather than going to a particular marketplace. Are they, is Nifty Gateway compatible with them? Can someone go and, you know, see NFTs listed on Nifty Gateway on, say, Gem, or is it a separate thing?
It's fully compatible. I think this will be something that we do after launch is talk to them and work to get integrated. I mean, as with every marketplace integration they do, you know, there is some work that's required. So yeah, but it's fully compatible with them. I think they're really, I think it's really interesting. The aggregators, I mean, I think it's smart. It makes sense. So yeah, we're definitely eager to work with them and like get. It just makes sense if you're a marketplace to get as much exposure for your listings and make it as easy as possible.
Yeah, I think to me, it seems like the end game in one respect is going to be these aggregators that just, again, there's more and more marketplaces popping up every couple of months, it seems. You know, we saw LooksRare, we've seen X2, Y2, Coinbase is coming out sometime in the next decade.
2030.
Yeah. Yeah. What are your thoughts about the Coinbase NFT marketplace? I mean, what do you think it's going to be? It seems like they might also be going down that custodial route, given that Coinbase. Do you have any idea of like what their marketplace might look like?
Not anymore.
Your guess is good as your guess is good as everyone's.
I don't know. I'm curious to see. I'm wondering why it's been delayed so much. Like, I don't know. I know they're working really hard over there on it. I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting that it occupies so much mind share for a marketplace that hasn't launched yet.
Yeah.
I think people are excited by the idea of the Coinbase user base just all flooding into NFTs and like the fact that Coinbase has 65 million users. But frankly, most of the people who are on Coinbase and could be collecting NFTs probably already are, or like, I don't think it will meaningfully help adoption at all. So I don't know. We'll see. And then obviously Binance launched an NFT marketplace and FTX launched an NFT marketplace. Crypto.com launched an NFT marketplace, and I think running an exchange is very different from running from an NFT marketplace.
Yeah.
Very, very different things. And we know that, like, being part of an exchange. And I think Nifty Gateway is kind of run as a separate entity, and I think that helps a lot because the NFT market is very unique, and it's just a very different business.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. And again, who knows when it's going to come out? I think they said December like before the end of last year was going to come out, and then Q1, and then it just keeps getting pushed. And yeah,
I guess we'll see. Yeah, I don't know. It won't be out till it's out, and then we'll be able to judge what it's like.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have a timeline in mind for the sort of buying Solana NFTs and ETH, or buying the cross-chain interoperability? Because that seems crazy exciting to me, but I can imagine it's like technologically difficult or time intensive.
I mean, we're still launching V1 of the marketplace. So like, I think like we're honestly, in the last NFT bull run, this was a big lesson we learned, where Nifty got a ton of adoption and a ton of users, and we really hadn't built the info. Before that, we were really like, let's build quickly, let's ship. And we ended up with like a pretty buggy platform in a lot of ways. And you can ask people who are on Nifty Gateway, I don't know, there are all kinds of issues. So now our philosophy is a little bit more like, okay, take the right amount of time, build it to scale, and then take your time and launch it. And like, once you launch it, make sure that it's really, really ready. I don't know what the timeline will be for that, but I mean, it's occupying a big part of our attention. And we're working towards building it as quickly as we can. I don't know, maybe mid to late summer. Any sort of timeline I provide, I feel like it's subject to change, because software is always more complicated. But a lot of the other features that we talked about, the 70% lower gas fee stuff, that's going live, as Griffin mentioned, later this week. That's been a huge push for us as well.
Yeah, the first ever NFT marketplace where you can cancel listings without gas and fully 70% lower gas fees. Like, I think those by themselves are very exciting. And like Duncan said, our plan is fast follow with as many of these great features that our new architecture enables. It's not just like another NFT marketplace. It's like a different paradigm for exchanging NFTs, which is exciting.
Yeah. You have this like gas savings calculator on the website where you can go in, and I did that earlier, and like I think it checks your OpenSea listings and cancellations and stuff, and it was like 11.25 ETH I would have saved.
Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah. I've done a lot of buying and selling NFTs over the last year or so.
Yeah, clearly.
I think we saw someone on that calculator who would have saved like 120 grand. I think that was the highest we saw.
Yeah,
we haven't been
40 ETH.
Yeah, we haven't been reporting the results, but it is pretty insane. And the other cool part about lowering gas fees, the Ethereum blockchain is like a shared resource. So the more this marketplace gets adoption, and like, it means lower gas fees for everybody, like on every application on Ethereum.
Everyone wins. Can you go, you mentioned it briefly before, the wallet-to-wallet madness contest thing. Can you break down how that works and what the prizes are, and when it's closing soon, or is it still ongoing?
It's going on right now. Yeah. So wallet-to-wallet madness is just, it's a little contest we're running as we launch this feature to sort of incentivize people to get started. And basically it means if you list any NFT on Nifty Gateway right now during the listing phase, you'll get points for doing that. And then if you buy any NFT during the buying phase, which starts on Thursday, you get extra points for doing that. And you get increased points if you buy from one of the projects that we partnered with. And the reason there are two phases is just to prevent wash trading. Otherwise, people would just list and buy from themselves, and you don't want any wash trading like that. And yeah, there's the top prize. If you win, I think it's a doodle, right? For the number one person with the most points.
Top three are rare doodles. Yeah.
Yeah. And we have some other really awesome prizes. You can see it all on niftygateway.com. And one other thing, actually, we haven't even mentioned this. Another really cool part about this is that fees are variable on a project and a user basis. So all of our tier one launch partners have zero marketplace fees instead of the standard 2.5% fee. and we can kind of adjust that. Like we can just give a project 0 fees for the month of April. So that's like a really
awesome
thing that we're excited to see.
Yeah, actually, one of the prizes, if you're in the top 150 points getters, you get a Nifty Pass, which is an NFT that at a later date you'll be able to burn it and get a month of 0 marketplace fees, which will apply bi-directionally. So when you create a listing and someone else buys it, they don't pay any marketplace fees, and then any listing you buy, you don't pay any marketplace fees. If you burn your Nifty Pass, you get access to that for a month.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic. I mean, it's pretty standard. I feel like we're really excited to experiment with this because I feel like in general on exchanges and marketplaces, if you're a power user, like usually you pay lower fees. That's just like that's how it is on Gemini. So I think that structure makes logical sense. For
sure. These Nifty passes, is this the only way to get them, or is there like other ways that people can get them?
There's definitely going to be other ways. I mean, we're planning on experimenting with them a lot, and like doing all sorts of, I mean, we're really, the fact that we can like do variable marketplace fees is going to be really exciting. There's also, again, this is another future possibility. I'm talking so much about future possibilities. There's also
give us the stuff, Duncan. God damn it.
Yeah. I mean, we'll also be able to offer projects the ability to do variable royalties, which is something that they might want to do. Like again, if you're a power user, like a friend of the project, maybe your listings have like a lower royalty set. So yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah, there's a bunch of, I think we're actually still like figuring out innovation that we can, like new things that we can do with this paradigm that we chose to build on. And we're really excited to just keep exploring that and keep figuring out ways to like unique features that don't exist anywhere else that can make the NFT buying and selling experience better. We're just going to keep going hard at figuring those out. But yeah, there'll definitely be other ways to get Nifty passes. Maybe we'll give you one as a gift.
I would love that. No, but this is so cool. There's so many just ideas that you've mentioned that I've literally never heard before. And I live in the NFT space. I'm talking to people all the time about stuff, and it's just always cool to hear new innovative stuff, I think. All right, I have probably the last question, and it's always the tough one, but like, where do you see Nifty Gateway in 5 to 10 years from now?
Oh man, great question. Dude, it's funny because Nifty Gateway is less than 5 years old. It's almost like 2 years old. It's tough to think about 5 years in the future for a company that's basically 2 years old. Look, I think we want to be the largest cross-chain, easiest to use NFT marketplace, right? Like the best NFT marketplace if you're just starting out, the best NFT marketplace if you're the biggest degen on the planet. Like, and no matter what country you're in, no matter anywhere you are in the world, I think we want to support you as a user.
I love it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, the other thing I would say is like the NFT, like we've been in the space for 3.5 years now, and like it's just changed so much. It's honestly kind of a mind bending to keep up with, and it reminds me of the early days of the internet, where like you have one business model or product, like Netscape. It breaks through. It feels like it's the next like $50 billion company, and then the next day Microsoft clones it, and it feels like we're still like 2 or 3 more like paradigm shifts away from the final form of NFTs, which is exciting, but also like definitely for builders, like it can be very disorienting. And
it can be a tough space to work in for that reason, for sure. Yeah, the same thing with search. There were so many search engines before Google. There was Excite, At Home. There was Lycos.
Alta Vista. Ask Jeeves.
Yeah, Ask Jeeves. Yeah, I don't know. I read about that era, and like it was before my time. But there's all these companies that were enormous, and probably if the VC ecosystem had resembled the VC ecosystem of today, they would have gotten like billions of dollars of funding, and everyone would have assumed they won. And then they just, in search, they all got crushed by Google, which is just insane. It's such a crazy story to think about it. I think we're in that stage of crypto. There's going to be a lot of disruption, and I don't think anyone really knows what the space will look like 10 years from now, which is fun. At least it's not boring.
That's the last thing it is.
Where do you think it's going in the next 5 years?
I think I agree with everything you said. Like it's so difficult to imagine, and it's going to be, we're a few paradigm shifts. Like there are many ahead of us. I think we're gonna get in, I'd say 5 to 10 years is probably when we'll start to have like true full mainstream adoption, where just my 96-year-old grandma and my 7-year-old niece can be interacting with NFTs without, like, the same way that, you know, they can go use an iPad, go on the App Store, play games, like that level of tech without understanding, you know, anything. Like, we need to abstract the tech away and make it easy for just everyone to use. And I think, yeah, I mean, I think everything is going to be NFT-fied. It just seems like it, like loyalty cards, like house deeds, medical records. Eventually, that might not be 5 to 10 years because that's really tricky and needs to be done carefully. But I just see everything being NFT-fied just eventually. Almost everything, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's also like the early days of the internet when you had like Webvan and Pets.com, and everybody was breathlessly predicting that like all commerce would move online, and a lot of those companies ended up going bankrupt. But then 20 years later, instead of Webvan, you have Instacart and you have like Chewy, and it all happened. It just didn't happen on the timeline that was like easy to predict. And like now, especially with COVID, all of a sudden, almost all commerce did move online, or like it's not like it all has, but it's very clearly going in that direction. And it's interesting. Everybody talks about house deeds and medical records and all of that, and I agree. It's probably inevitable. The only question is how long it'll take and what will actually happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think loyalty cards, like that kind of stuff, like that makes a ton of sense. I feel like that'll probably be a wave that happens soon. Because we used to always talk about, like, back in the early days, we were like, we could go pitch a company on doing loyalty card NFTs, but they would just, like, it would be so foreign to them, like it wouldn't be a good pitch because we wouldn't get anywhere. They would have no clue what was going on because they would have never heard of this NFT thing. It just wouldn't make any sense to them. Now that's not the case. Like, I bet there's people pitching companies on this right now, and I bet a lot of them are thinking it through. There's really compelling reasons for them to try it now, which wasn't the case before this huge NFT boom.
Yeah, I had a dentist reach out to me like 6 months ago, just chatting, and he wanted some advice. He was thinking about launching like a loyalty card type thing where he was like, well, maybe I can sell an NFT and then anyone who has it can get like free teeth cleaning, every 6 months. I was like, that's a really cool idea, but the Venn diagram of like people who live within a 30-minute drive of you and are into NFTs right now, it's like there's just, you might get one person. But give it a few years and then that's just, everyone's going to be able to have like their phone that has an NFT on it and can,
give it a few years and eventually that's feasible. That's exactly what happened with the internet, right? And like in the late 90s, the internet had 5 or 10 million users or some like comically small number. But then the internet reaches hundreds of millions of people. Instacart is this enormous company. So I agree. Like, I think it's going down that path.
Yeah. Like the smartphone comes along and all of a sudden everyone can,
exactly. Like, and you look at the graph of the internet usage, the most remarkable thing about it is just how it like slowly and steadily compounds. It grows like 30% every year. And the implications of that are like the first 10 years, I mean, from like 1991 to 2001, it only goes from 100,000 to 10 million or something. Like in terms of actual number of users, that's not that crazy. But then you extrapolate that out to 2020, like between 2020 and 2021, that means hundreds of millions of people came on for the first time ever. So
which is so crazy.
I think crypto will go through a similar adoption curve.
I think so. It's like crazy to think about. There's still people who aren't online, like in 2022. Right? But
here we are talking about Web3. Yeah, there's like billions of people who have never used the internet. It's mind-boggling.
It really is. All right. Is there anything else that you want to mention that we haven't covered before we wrap up?
No, just go check out niftygateway.com. Check out Wallet2Wallet Madness, unless you want to spend 70% more on gas.
We'll have links to all of that in the show notes so everyone can check that out.
And follow us on Twitter as we announce more of these really exciting features. And we're gonna be doing a bunch more promos and stuff like that. As I said, there'll be way more opportunities to earn Nifty passes. So nice. Keep your eyes peeled.
Yeah, that Wallet2Wallet Madness sounds fun. Like I'm tempted to go and start listing and doing like, Is there a leaderboard that you can see where you're at?
Yeah,
there's a leaderboard.
There's
Yeah.
a leaderboard on the homepage.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty competitive already, though. Some people have really gone ballistic.
Yeah.
Go list some stuff and let us know how it is.
Yeah,
I'll give it a go.
On the UX.
Amazing. Will do. Well, thank you so much. This has been a wonderful chat, and got to get you back on in the future to see, like, again, when some of these features that we've spoken about are developed. And yeah,
Amazing. We love
wonderful.
that. Thank you so much.
Amazing.